Hey, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am here again, Mary Guide, to give you a video on my progress on my May 2025 goals. We're getting to the end of this month, and I'm so ecstatic because if I go back and watch my first video, I can see that I have come a long ways on my goals as well as implementing self-discipline. And so for the upcoming month, I'm already trying to gear myself up for what I'm going to continue with my goal or what my goals will be. And just a better way of tracking things. So now that I've laid down the foundation of self-discipline in this first month by having two goals centered around self-discipline, although I will continue making self-discipline a big part of course, my goals because that's essential. And that's the whole idea of behind these videos is self-discipline as the key aspect to meeting and exceeding your goals and maintaining the progress that you make on your goals. And I'm here to share my firsthand experiences of doing that. And so you're able to see me from beginning where I was to now where I am. And then in the future videos, you'll see where I will be and how far I'm able to grow because of my cognizant of being more cognizant of self-discipline and actually working towards actively implementing it. So that's the whole idea of these videos. And so on each of the videos, I share my progress, but then I also share different things related to self-discipline. I've gone through several different things in the matter of this month regarding the videos I've posted. Some of the things I've talked about are finances. I'm sharing my budget and how I'm making that better and making and prioritizing savings versus spending. And as I move through that part of my growth, I will be sharing those different things and how those things have benefited me. So stay tuned. Be sure to comment, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. Also, if this is your first time watching my videos, I have a whole lot of other videos on my page that's titled with self-discipline. Actually, this is towards the end of the month of May, and I have done a video every single day marking my progress on my May 2025 goals. To make it easily accessible, I've also created a playlist that uploads every single video automatically that I title it self-discipline in the order in which I've uploaded it. So it makes it easy for you as a user to listen to. It makes it easy for me to go back and listen to because I could just go to my playlist over self-discipline and just go from wherever I would like to start, beginning to end if I choose to, or a particular point in the playlist. So today, this is the end of the week. So I'm gonna recap what I've done as far as it relates to my goals. And then normally at the end, I have a goal at the end of the week that I share on. So that's what I'm gonna do pretty much in this video. Last video is actually an interlude to this one because it shares how to implement discipline in the areas of my heart. And that's the part of where I'm focusing on this week is how did I actually implement discipline in the areas of my heart. So that'll be the last part of my video. So stay tuned. Sorry, I had to wet my throat a little bit. So sharing my May 2025 goals again, there are a set of 6 of them. It's your first video. I just try to keep it short. I'm going to keep a short list of goals, and here they are. I don't want to make a long list of goals because I want to make it something reasonable that I'm able to succeed or meet by the end of the month. So my first goal is to earn at least $2,000 from supplementary income that I am on the verge of sharing. So please stay tuned because I will be sharing with you guys, especially if you watch this video and you see my progress on it. and you see how I'm able to earn a decent amount of money on this supplementary income, it might be a benefit to someone. And so I don't want to hold that from anyone. So I will be sharing that at the end of this month. And I'm ecstatic to be able to share my experiences in later videos about how this has worked out for me. Goal number 2 is to pay off Chase credit card. 1384 is the balance that I started out with. And again, that kind of ties with my budget, and I've been very open about sharing my budget and the different changes that I'm making with it. So please go back and watch some of the previous videos, watch this video, and then watch future videos to be able to share, see the progression. If finances is something that you also want to work on, here's a goal that I'm setting for myself that directly relates to my finances, and where it's just one little piece of my finance. So I'm actually sharing other parts of it on several videos I have so far. So I just wanted to share that. Goal number 3 is to lose at least 10 pounds. My starting weight was 239 pounds. So again, I share dieting strategies. I share what I am actually doing to lose the weight. Again, being open and transparent during my process of this. And even though this is my goal for this month, this is not by far the end of that goal. I will, depending on what I decide for the next month, since I'm getting to the end of the month, I may continue a goal like this, but more than likely I like to switch up the goal. So it may be something about the same, but I might look at it from a different angle. While I'm still tracking and my goal is still to lose weight, I might look at it as far as how many steps I'm taking in a day or something like that. Or how many hours am I actually spending in the gym? Or how many days am I actually following my low carb, low calorie, high protein diet? Or even going to tracking my calories. There's so many different angles that I could take from it. But for this month, I'm actually tracking my actual weight. Goal number 4 was to start a SQL course on Microsoft to advance my programming skill. This one's related to my job. And so I want to advance my skills and just kind of fill in some gaps. So I'm going to start taking some courses to learn different things that I am interested in learning that relates to my job, which is programming. Goal number 5 is to read, study, and meditate on discipline. And goal number 6 is to implement discipline in all areas of my life. So let me go ahead and go to goal number 1. Earn at least $2,000 for my supplementary income. So what I have here is a calendar where each day I've actually made a note of how much money I've earned on this venture. So for the first week, I've earned a total of $370. That gave me a remaining of $1,629 to earn for the following 4 weeks. The second week of this month, I earned a total of $369, which gave me a remaining amount to earn $1,260 for the next 3 weeks. The third week of this month, I earned $373, which gave me $886.93 left to earn. And then we're down to this week, which is week 4. And I want to kind of pause here for a moment just to reiterate that normally for this particular supplementary income, normally I just do this on the weekend, like maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because my weekends are not inclusive of Sundays most of the time, because I shared in a previous video, I am in a relationship. And so with us being in 2 different cities, even though we're like close, not a short distance away, like an hour away, we have that time on the weekend is where we spend time. And so he comes down the weekend, or I visit him, or whatever the case may be. And normally we spend time from Sunday until Tuesday, or Sunday until, sometimes it's a little, it varies depending. And so that has kind of changed my schedule related to earning money on this venture. So normally I'm not able to earn on a Sunday, Monday until Tuesday evening. Or normally my schedule would have been to only do this on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But because I don't have that Sunday due to delegating that time and putting that time towards relationship and quality time and spending time with each other physically, like face to face, spending time. This month for this goal, I've worked some other days, or I've actually used other days throughout the week that I normally wouldn't use, just to see how far I can actually go. And then also, there's been some weekends that I've had to travel. Like for Mother's Day weekend, I went back to my hometown. So I'm saying all this because these days are not really all the way reflective of what a normal month would look like for me. And that means that I normally would be doing a whole lot better as far as the numbers, but overall it still is a good average amount of what I would earn in a week, considering that I've used these other days to kind of make up for the lack of being able to do anything on Sunday and then having to travel out of town on Saturday. So I went out of town for Mother's Day weekend, and I also went out of town for a wedding event on the 17th, and I didn't return until the 18th. So with that being said, on week 4, of course, Sunday wasn't able to earn any money. However, on Monday, same as well, because that was also the time that we spent in my relationship. We spent together. But I did get back to earning on Tuesday, Wednesday. Didn't earn on Thursday. I used it as a rest day just so I can prepare myself for this week, for this weekend, because I don't have anything that conflicts with me. So on our previous video, I was sharing that I'm able to work. This will be the first weekend where I'm able to earn money on a Sunday, and well, it won't be the first day that I've earned a full Saturday worth of money from this venture, because I was able to do that on the first week of this, the first Sunday or Saturday of this month. So that'll be the second Saturday, and then 31st would be the third Saturday that I'm able to earn. Well, I'm trying to think. No. Well, yeah, 31st will be, yeah, I'll be able to earn on the full day. So on Friday, I actually earned $63. And then today, this is definitely normally what I would earn on a Saturday. At least $200. And sometimes it gets close to 300. It all depends on how busy it is. So for this week, I was able to earn a total of $340. Not really where I would want my total to be. And that's because of the Friday not being really a true reflective of what a Friday would be like. Because normally I would at least make $100, over $100 actually. Like this first Friday and the second Friday where I made over $100. Normally that would be the case. But these last 2 Fridays, it was kind of a low amount of what I would normally make on a Friday. So if I would have made that additional 100 and something dollars, that would have brought me to the $400 that I really have been aiming towards every single week since the first week. I've been aiming towards making at most like, or at least $400, which I haven't quite met. And that to me, I kind of attribute to, going out of town on the weekends. So that means that I have a remaining amount of $546.59 to earn on this last week. And so that still is a reasonable amount of money, because I've shared in previous videos, just by tracking myself, there have been days or weeks where I've earned that amount of money, $500 or more. Now it has been like March the 31st through April the 6th, I actually earned $545.66. And I know the weeks, it kind of on my app that tracks it, It actually includes Monday. It goes from Monday to Sunday instead of Sunday to Saturday. But yet it's still, that is still and then I've had a week where I've earned $670. That was in March. Yep. I've had weeks where I've earned 400. I've had a week where I've earned $467. But for this month, of course, as you can see on there, I've earned 300 and something dollars each week. So, in order for me just to kind of see where I'm at, I've done this in just about every video. I take that remaining amounts that I need to earn, and I'm going to divide it by how many days I'm able to earn, which is 7. So $546.59 divided by 7 gives me the average amount that I need to earn every day next week. So every day next week, I need to aim as hard as possible to earn $78.08, which there's been several. Well, let's see, how many days have I earned more than $78? I've earned one, two, 3, 4, 5, and then I've had some that it was very close, like in the 70s. That was very close. So 5 out of the 3, 5, 8, 6, 14, and then 4, 18. 5 out of 18 days. That's not too bad. I mean, considering it's only out of 18 days. So I still feel like reasonably so I'm able to meet, if not exceed, this goal. It is not impossible. So I'm just waiting for Sunday, because Sunday will be the first day that I'm able to actually earn also for a full day. And so I would be interested to see how much that totals out to be. Goal number 1, I'm going to keep sharing this chart because it kind of shows where I'm at the month of May in comparison to where I was on the other previous months this year. And as you can see, this bar is getting higher and higher the more that I'm earning money. And I'm getting very, very closer to that $2,000 mark, which you can see in comparison that on most months this year so far, I've made well over $1,000. It's only one month that I didn't really quite hit that $1,000 mark, and that was January, but it was very, very close, shy of $100 and something that I would have met that $1,000. All right, goal number 2, pay off Chase credit card, which was a balance of $1,384. The week of May the 10th, I actually made a payment and it dropped me down to $922. I had to re-improvise because I had, with all the budgeting that I was doing from the previous weekends, Mother's Day, the wedding event, and then also getting paid. I always like to re-budget, and then I wanted to create another budget based on some of the different things that I've been studying related to self-discipline. And so with that being said, I bumped it to May the 22nd, which I went ahead and paid off the remaining balance. So I actually have this balance down to 0. And I've actually checked on my phone. I know the 25th is a day where it is due. So if there's anything that I have made purchases on that I didn't take into account, yeah, my balance is still at 0. So that means it did not incur any additional costs. I didn't make any additional purchases that would make me have to pay some interest that's not totaling into this balance. So I'm actually at 0 on this credit card. So now I have my full credit amount available for me to spend. So I'll be moving forward with that. Goal number 3, lose at least 10 pounds. This is what I've used to track my progress. For each week, I weigh myself on Sunday. I started by weighing myself on the 27th, which is the first day that I've done self-discipline video here on YouTube. And at that time, I weighed 239 pounds. And from there, that's when I set my May 2025 goal is to lose 10 pounds. So on May the 1st, after starting my whole regimen, my nutritional changes of low carb, low calorie, high protein, and going to the gym, being active, I actually lost 2 pounds in the matter of those few days, which gave me 8 more pounds to lose. And then May the 4th, I was down 235.2 pounds, which was low than what my projected weight was or was to be in order to lose the 8 pounds for the remaining weeks. And so I had a remaining amount of 6.2 pounds. May the 11th, I weighed right at my projected mark of 233.8, which gave me 4.8 pounds to lose. The 18th of this week, I weighed myself and I was down below my projected weight at 232 pounds. And so I'm now sitting at 3 pounds left to lose in order to meet my goal. And if I go beyond that, of course, I'll exceed my goal. Goal number 4, start SQL course on Microsoft to advance skill. I actually met this on the 4th by starting module 1. However, in previous videos, if you've watched them, you could hear me talk about this because I was at a standstill for a very, very long time on this particular goal. Even though it says to start, it's not where I want to finish. I actually want to finish this course. So I want to do more than just start. Starting is just the goal, just to get me started on working towards different courses that I could take. So, in my studies and implementing different things that better me with self-discipline, with reaching goals, I had to re-strategize. And because I felt like the reason why I wasn't making any progress on this particular goal is because I felt like I lacked time. And normally, whenever I feel like I lack time, that prompts me to manage my time better. So that means looking at my daily routine and saying, where can I fit in some time to say, this is going to be the time where I work on this. And so that time that I decided on was actually during my work time, since this relates to my work. And I've actually blocked it off on my calendar at work. The first hour of my work is dedicated towards education. So when I did that, I was able to finish module 1 on May the 19th. That's actually the first day that I implemented it. Start module 2 on May the 19th and finish module 2 on May the 21st. I finished module 3 on the 21st. And then I started module 4 on the 22nd, and I actually finished all of those modules in the matter of 3 days, or actually 4 days, 4 days, less than my work week, just by me implementing a routine and setting that block of time each day to focus on this one goal. I was able to finish this in 4 days when it was taking me 15 days to try to do without the routine. And I wasn't making any progress because I wasn't making any time. And by the end of the day, when the day is done, you're tired, you got other things to do. And so you lay down, you go to sleep. And so there's another day. And then that day goes by and the same thing happens. Don't have any time. Well, most likely, from my opinion, when I have lacked time, it's because I didn't manage time. Because there's always some time that I can kind of fit in, or there might be some time I could take away from something else that may not require so much time that I'm giving it, and allocate some of that time towards just this one thing here, learning, bettering my skill in SQL. So goal number 5, was to related to studying and reading and meditate on discipline. So each week through my studies, I journaled down and shared a resonating statement, something that jumped off the page to me or made me really think, or something that I want to kind of save to kind of be able to read over later, because by reading it, it gives me the substance that I need in order to understand the importance of self-discipline and self-growth, like wherever I am on my walk. So the first week, the statement was all the way related to self-discipline. It came from the Power of Self-Discipline book that I have linked below by Daniel Walters. And this is a profound statement to me because it really shows why self-discipline is important. Because I can be talented, I can be intelligent, but if I don't have self-discipline, the ordinary person can become extraordinary. They can be better than me. They could advance faster and higher than me, just from the simple fact that they have self-discipline. And if I don't have self-discipline, I'm pretty much hindering myself from reaching beyond mediocrity. So this kind of captured my mind because it told me that, wow, like it really shows the importance of self-discipline. And it kind of shined a mirror in my face to realize that by me not having better self discipline, I'm really hindering myself. Who knows how far I could be and how far I will be once I be better about self discipline. So that's what this statement kind of did for me. And that's why I jotted it down. For the second week, I was studying even more into self discipline, reading articles online, and I came across a topic of behavior, routine, and habits. And in the past, I've known this to be true. That's how I was able to lose 60 pounds in the past, from 2023, 2024, from December 2023 to April 2024. I lost a total of 60 pounds because I just sat back and studied a lot of people and recognized the routine. For example, I really pulled from men. As it relates to the gym, most of the time in my personal area where I'm at, I mostly see men in the gym. And I just say, well, what? Let me just study them. And then I've known men in the past that I have known and were close with that actually would go to the gym like it was a regular, they made it a regular routine. And so I kind of reflected on that to kind of understand, you know, the importance of a routine and how that to them just became second nature. Like going to the gym, working out, just was like second nature to them because they had established a routine. And then the consistency that I have noticed men tend to have as it relates to going to the gym, for the ones who actually go to the gym, they have a very high consistency. Like men, in my opinion, men, they are very well able to stick to their routine more so than women. And for me, I kind of compared it to myself and tried to figure out, why is it that as a female it's hard to stick to a consistent schedule as well as men. Well, I came to the conclusion in my own experiences and just looking and observing myself is that I tend to let a lot of things get in the way. And I feel like maybe that is something that many females tend to do, especially when you have kids, when you have this to do, when you have so many different things to do. I feel like as females, we more than likely allow other things to distract us from our routine. And so even though we may start up a routine, it's easy for other things to overcrowd our plate, and then we put them in front of that. Um, for example, if there's something with your kids, of course, you're gonna prioritize that first. But I've learned also that there is a way to maintain your routine even when you have to prioritize these other things. And so that was through me studying and like just observing, like really observing men and realizing how they're so, it's easy for them. They stick to their routine. There's not going to be many things that pull them away. For the ones who I have observed, that are the ones that have a real routine related to the gym, going to the gym, they are very much like very strict with their gym time. And so, that's just from my past experience. But in this statement, I pulled it from online, where it shares that setting routines and habits helps build a stronger willpower, which in turn helps you achieve your goal more effectively. And I've actually, perfect example of me implementing this, or even showing an example of this being true. And this month is on goal number 4, when I wasn't making any progress on the sequel course. And I actually implemented a routine, added it as a part of my routine, and voila, in 4 days, I was able to finish the whole course. Week 3 is where I was really, really diving more into my finances. So through my studies, I studied about pay yourself first. And this statement stood out to me because it helped me understand that I need to prioritize saving before spending, and not look at what is left at the end of the month. Actually, savings and investment needs to be the first thing that I take out. I need to pay myself first. Like literally, when I get my paycheck, I need to pay myself first by putting some money back for myself. And so that has prompted me to look further into my finances, my budgets, and things like that. And then this week, because I know that I am lacking a little bit in this area of empathy, I did some study over this and how empathy, empathy relates to self-discipline, in your relationships and in your personal relationship with yourself. So the statement that I pulled away for this week says that empathy equips you with the ability to manage stress and regulate your emotions. I put that sentence down because I know I'm a person that I anything that stresses me out, I'm not, I'm like, nope, not finna go back and forth, not finna, involuntarily put myself through stress. So by me having this statement here, it flags empathy as important. So when I'm struggling with having empathy, I can reflect on this statement and it'll snap me very quick to showing more empathy. Regulating your emotions. I definitely want to be a person that regulates my emotions. I don't want to be on edge or allow things to push me off the cliff of my emotions, of my stable emotions. So having empathy for me in that first statement, just thinking about that will snap me into reality whenever I feel myself going overboard. And then by understanding others' emotional state, you can respond with compassion and support, which is also which can that should say can which can also have a positive impact on your own stress levels. And so I just put that there just to further expound on why, you know, having compassion for others, it can just better not allow you to stress about whatever they are disclosing to you. Practice understanding and considering the perspective of others. Show kindness and support even when you disagree with someone. So that last statement, definitely, definitely needed, because I've noticed that many times when it comes to moments where I should be empathetic. Now, I do a very great job listening, and I probe, I ask questions just to understand. If someone is talking to me, sometimes they may not go deep into what they mean. And for me not to assume, I'm not a person that likes to assume. So I follow up with questions just to get a full understanding of what they are disclosing. And in some cases, when I've actually got a full picture of what they're talking about, and I've noticed like, okay, they could have done this to avoid it. And it may have been something I've told them where I feel like they should know. And sometimes in those moments, I may not be as empathetic because I'm like, well, they could have very well avoided it. They're not, it doesn't seem like they are wanting to resolve this. In my mind, it more so become too much of a complaining, and I don't want to enable a complainer. So I, in a way, kind of pull back a little bit of my empathy But sometimes I may be bad about pulling away too much of it, because even in those moments where I don't agree with the way that someone may be moving, in order to establish and continue establishing those greater relationships, I need to show that support. There's still a way to be empathetic and show support without being so brash and cold when it comes to my responses to my friends and families and stuff. So I have noticed that about myself. So that's why I made that a resonating statement, because that's something that I do want to reflect and meditate on, being better, having empathy for others. Goal number 6 is where I share how I've implemented discipline in the areas of my mind, mentally, by taking walks, by going to the gym, by being grateful, self-reflecting on where I've been, where I've come from, and being grateful for where I am, limiting my social media, turning off notifications on my phone, career-wise, using my work log, managing my time better, finance-wise, budgeting. I created a budget for Mother's Day weekend. I've created a budget for the wedding weekend. And then I'm constantly looking at my budget right now. I'm reorganizing my budget so that I can pay myself first. So I can prioritize spending, or I can prioritize saving over spending, because I've done quite well in the past prioritizing spending over savings. Implementing in my body, that was the second week. Physically, I talked about how I implemented. I'm still going to the gym routine wise, sticking to my Monday through Friday routine. I'm practicing healthy eating, low carb, low calorie, high protein. And each day of the week, I've taken walk breaks at work, throughout the day, because I work at a sit down job. So it's important for me to get up and take breaks and walk and to stay active. And then going to the gym in the morning is very refreshing to me physically. Also, recreation wise, work life balance, I have allowed myself to take days. And I've taken a day off where I just laid down and took a good rest, like literally. Activities I've engaged in, they're directly related to my goals. Gym, going to the gym, the time that I have to spend towards that secondary income, budgeting. Also, I could add into, doing things with my son outside of just my goals, just making sure I'm doing some quality things with him and taking him places as well. Organization, I use a calendar at work and on my phone, and that's like very much important, because I want my calendar to help me remember the important dates that I have, because I know I have dentist appointments, my son has appointments, and so I don't be wanting to forget an appointment that I might have. Like, for example, I got a notification the other day. I was pausing because I was looking at my calendar. I got a notification the other day about my dentist appointment that is coming up. So, all right, so here we are in week 3, and I'm here to share with you how I have implemented discipline in the areas of my heart. Relationship wise, I've shared that I am in a relationship, but this is not just for my romantic relationship. This is for family, friends, and anyone that I actually interact with. So during this week, I feel as though I'm always having open communication with my boyfriend. I share my feelings. If there's anything that I don't agree with or I have an issue with, I just come on out and just say it. And the relationship that I have allows it to be that way. But I feel like I'm a person that will not shy away from telling someone the truth. And I do it in a respectful way, of course. But I don't just sit on, I do think of strategic ways of bringing it to people, especially people that I may not know, or how to handle certain situations. There's certain ways to handle certain situations. Everything is not black and white. There is some gray sometimes when you're communicating with people. But for like my close knit family, friends, boyfriend, we're very close. I will be more on the open side when it comes to several different ranges of topics, because I feel like it's very much important in a relationship. You should be able to be open. That builds your trust. That builds your expectations so that the other person understands what your expectations are and you understand what theirs are. Because who likes to assume? Nobody can read your mind. I don't want him to feel as though he has to read my mind or I have to read him. So through open communication, I just make things clear and he makes things clear to me as well. And same way with my family and same way with my friends. I feel like I am open and honest and respectful at the same time. And that allows me to communicate my boundaries when I'm able to be open. And these relationships, I'm able to communicate the boundaries that I have and be an active listener in resolving conflicts as needed. I've resolved, I've been an active listener for my friend from college. We normally talk just about every day in the week. Whenever she's having some things that I try to just listen and hear her out, allow her to vent. Um, Not so much be so quick to resolve the issues that she may bring up to me, and allowing her the ability to navigate through it on her own, and just being there as a support to listen. So I'm learning to be better with that, because sometimes I might jump too fast to just be like, I have a way that you can, you should do this, you should do that. But doing that too much will allow someone to be self-reliant on you to be able to decide, help them decide everything they should do when an act, especially at our age, you would want to be able to make those decisions on your own confidently. And then just having support there for people, your family, your friends, to support you, but not necessarily tell you what to do, and making your own decisions so that you can hold yourself accountable. So, and then also when it relates to family, like my mom, I talk on the phone with her, I try to check in with her daily at most, at least, really. Sometimes it might be several times a day where we talk, but with several things that might be going on in the family, just being an active listener, and resolving differences. Like if I disagree with something that may have been said and we can't both get on the same page, just agree to disagree, move on in peace, resolving that conflict. Emotionally, during this week, I've self-reflected on my lack of empathy for others. I know that has been told to me actually in my relationship, which is a part of him being open. And I love that openness because it kind of puts a mirror straight in my face. And then for my relationship, I've prompted him to say, hey, just let me know when those things happen. Like, let me know, like, give me a good example of when, because I have to really understand to be able to self-reflect and say, you know what, I do agree that in that situation I may have lacked empathy because I responded this way when you may have needed me to respond differently to show support. But so by him saying that, I have kind of self-reflected on myself on several interactions that I've had, not only with him but with others as well, where I may have lacked empathy. And then I tried to figure out, well, why is it that I am lacking empathy? Because I consider myself as a person that I truly I love to understand other people's perspective, and I don't want to be judgmental towards them or too critical towards them. But I do jump so quick to resolution, that in those instances where I feel as though maybe I have lack of empathy is due to that. So it may be when I feel as if what they are experiencing could have been avoided. Like if they're constantly saying, for example, I don't have money to, my money's getting a little short. Well, you could budget. In my mind, budgeting. Track your spending, try to save, try not to go and spend on this. And when I feel as though maybe someone is doing the opposite of that, I'm like, well, they're having, week by week, day by day, they might be talking about not having much money. And then sometimes that might make me lack a little bit of empathy because of that. But in order to grow relationships, empathy is needed. That support is needed for others to, feel that connection, feel as if you care, it may take them some time. For example, I have to think about myself needing empathy. With all the many times somebody could look at me and be like, have you not gotten it together right? You could have had this. Like, why didn't you stick to your goals? They could be very harsh and cold to me as well, related to like losing weight. It's been, they could say you're 36 years old. You should have already been able to maintain your weight by now. You can't blame it, it could be I could put myself in in those shoes and say, hey, it's kind of like the same way in the Bible it says, we want to be given grace. So we have to be able to give grace to others. We want God to forgive us. So we got to be willing to forgive others. And being empathetic, I feel like, is a part of that. We want people to give us empathy. I want people to give me empathy. I want to have self empathy for myself. So I want to be able to give that out to others as well. And I've also learned that I lack empathy in these situations in an attempt to set an emotional boundary for myself to not become overly emotionally involved. Because sometimes when they're sharing things, I'm like jumping, like, oh no, I know they didn't do that. I know he did not do that. Or I know this person did not do that. And I'm coming like straight in to like just, oh no, I know that's not, so to me, sometimes I take a step back, and that's why I ask questions to understand the full scope of what someone is telling me. And then once I figure out, well, there was a reasonable way to avoid this, I kind of pull back my empathy in a way to ration out my empathy. So to not become so emotionally involved into something that very well this person could have resolved on their own. And so I don't want to overly, because I feel like I've had experiences in the past where I have overly involved myself, and it was to my own detriment when this person probably didn't even attempt to do anything to better their situation. I'm more excited about resolving their situation than they are. And it just wasn't in a healthy place. So then, there's another side of empathy where I do need to maintain great balance of it, but I do want to, try to work and figure out a way to balance that out a little bit better, because I might be leaning more on the side of being less empathetic than like in the middle balanced. Instead, I should convert. So this gives me a way in which I could work on being more empathetic when I feel as though I might need to still set a boundary. So I could convert that excess empathy to compassion. So I can use compassion as my way. Okay, pull back a little bit on empathy. I don't want to get myself too much involved emotionally. I don't want to be too much, it can drain you a lot if you're showing too much empathy. If you're overly empathetic, that's not good. And I don't want to be overly empathetic. So I have to pull back and balance my empathetic off with a little bit of compassion. And one way in doing that is by saying, that sounds awful. Is there something I can do for you? And a lot of times the response to that may be, nothing, because or it may be something, and then it kind of moves the whole energy of the conversation kind of shifts. It's not so draining, it's not so complaining, it's not so down, and it kind of moves it to where it's asking them, well, have you thought of a way to resolve it? What can I do to help you? you know so if they say nothing, then I'll just be there as support. That kind of lets me know, okay, take a back seat, don't over involve yourself. Let them tell me if they need me to help them figure it out. And then socially, how have I implemented discipline socially? So when communicating and actively listening, I pay attention to what others are saying and try to understand their point of view. And I do that. A lot of people have told me that, man, you tend to ask a lot of questions. Well, I ask a lot of questions because I don't want to assume that I understand what you're saying. Everybody live in their own head, and we could be looking at the same thing and all come away with different things from looking at that same thing. So when you say that the sky is blue, you might be referring to a different type of blue than the blue that I'm talking about. Your definition for blue might be something way off. I'm like, well, that's not really blue to me. That's actually a little bit of tint of red. And so I like to ask. And then I think might be something that I might be interested in is studying psychology, because I really, really, really do like understanding the mind and how others think, and their everybody have their different perspective on life and just their life story in general. I love, love, love reading books, watching movies, interviews when people are sharing about their life. I like to understand where people came from, and not just look at their behaviors. I like to understand where those behaviors came from, like the stem of them, and that generally goes back to childhood. Some of the different things that people have overcome, like some of the stories will definitely, when you start hearing what people have gone through, it really opens up. It really opened up my mind. I know. So I just love understanding different points of view. I love people with different points of view. I have a total respect for it. It kind of is like me living through them in a way, you know, when they have a different perspective and they have a different way of looking at things. I enjoy it, even if it's different from mine. I could still stand strong and disagree with maybe some of their perspectives and how they believe, but I still appreciate them being so brave, the bravery to have a different perspective or to come out and have that. I have also been mindful of my words, actions, and choose my words carefully to avoid making assumptions about others. And that's also when I'm actively listening, just being careful, slow to respond, quick to listen, just like the scripture says. And that has helped me a lot in my communications and relationships. So again, this is the end of my video. This is the end. Pretty much next week, I'll be talking about how I implement discipline in the areas of my soul. Here are my May 2025 goals again. And I have actually met 2 out of 6 so far. So I've met 2 out of 6 of the goals before the end of May. And I am so ecstatic. So again, if you have liked my video and how I'm sharing my experiences, my progress on my goals, different tidbits on how to implement goals better, how to successfully succeed in reaching your goals. Like, comment, and subscribe. Listen, go to the playlist, listen to it while you're driving, listen to it while you're doing housework, whatever the case may be, or even sit down and watch it, whichever way you would choose. But I will be here again tomorrow letting you guys know. And I am excited because tomorrow is weigh-in day. So please don't miss that video to see if I'm actually at my goal weight. I'm just wondering. I'm thinking that there is a possibility that I could reach my goal weight on this Sunday, which would mean I will have 3 out of 6 of the goals met before the end of the month of May. So stay tuned. Until next time, have a nice day.